Welcome, guys. Welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here. We're going to look at Wind River.
My name is Julie Andrews, and I'm Sichangu Lakota from the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota. I'm a licensed clinical social worker with Riverside San Bernardino County Indian Health. I work currently under the Celebrating Families grant with Riverside University Health System. Worked in the field of domestic violence since 2004. Now I'm doing a lot of community work with respect to intergenerational trauma and the effects of it.
My name is Lester Nelson Jr. I'm from La Jolla Indian Reservation. I'm a chemical dependency counselor for Riverside San Bernardino County Indian Health, and I work under the grant with Julie. And I myself too, I like to teach about intergenerational trauma and healing. I like to help heal our relatives.
I mean, what brings you? Why are you sitting here talking about Wind River?
Thinking about mental wellness and what that looks like in our communities, I feel like the ways that our people knew how to take care of themselves and how some of that has gotten lost. Some of our relatives were able to go underground and hang on to their language and their songs and their ceremonies. It was important to me in this movie how there was kind of an acknowledgement of that, like, I don't even know how to do this.
Lester, what brings you in other than her telling you you probably should come with us?
Well, pretty much for the same reasons.
Okay.
You know, I found out early in my recovery there was ways to heal from trauma and grief. And like first I had to become aware that I needed to heal. Along my journey I found ways that like our ancestors used to help heal. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help, man. Like I said, I'm just a servant for the Great Spirit.
Julie, you suggested we watch Wind River. So why don't you set the stage for us and we'll get into watching some clips.
So Wind River, it's set among the Arapaho people. It's centered around the death of a young woman and outside agencies that come into the community to try to help determine what happened.
Randy Whitehurst, I'm the medical examiner.
I'm Jane Banner, FBI.
As you can see here, she suffered a deep laceration along her brow line, 2 separated ribs, frostbite in both feet up through her ankles.
What are you listing as the cause of death?
You're not gonna like it. She died from a pulmonary hemorrhage. When sub-zero air is drawn into the lungs, ultimately the victim
Sorry,
either...
You're not listing this as a homicide?
Can't. This is very prosecutable as a murder. I mean, clearly she wouldn't have been running through the snow if she hadn't been attacked, but I can't list the cause of death as homicide.
And I can't get an FBI team to the reservation unless it's listed as a homicide. Look, I'm not here to solve this. I'm just here to obtain a cause of death and send a team here that can.
Look, present the rape, present the assault, and
Those don't fall to the jurisdiction of the FBI. They fall to the Bureau of Indian Affairs.
Hey, don't look at me. I'm used to no help.
You have 6 officers on your entire force to cover an area the size of Rhode Island.
Yes, I know that.
No offense, but this would have to curl up in your lap in order for you to solve it.
I know that too.
We all know it's a murder. All right, have a U.S. attorney sign off on it. I'm happy to corroborate that, but I just can't put it on the death certificate.
I think it's true, even not in Indian country, what's the final cause of death, and really what everybody else knows to be the case. The issues of jurisdiction with respect to federal law enforcement versus the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the government-to-government relationship that exists between the United States and the sovereign nations. Good thing, bad thing, because it complicates things like this where there's the ability to be able to get what people may be perceiving as justice. And then there's a thing called, Public Law 280, which depends on who has jurisdiction over certain crimes.
What really stuck out to me was nobody cares anyway, you know, or, you know, like I'm used to not getting any help. That's how I feel like a lot of things are on the reservation. We don't have any help from the outside. It's been like that for him for a long time, you know, like we're used to not getting help from anybody. We don't trust that they're going to help, and we don't feel like they care.
The chief, he doesn't seem really angry necessarily. He just seems more like resigned almost, like, hey, this is just how it is.
I think especially when you talk about mental health and the sense of hopelessness and helplessness that exists on reservations, and not even just on reservations, but in our communities in the urban areas as well, because there's lots of barriers. Let's just say that barriers systemically and structurally.
Growing up, you know, watching Westerns and stuff like that with my dad, and like you'd always see like the Indians die. I'd get so mad and I was so sad about it. Why are we always dying? You know, he said, well, they don't like us, you know, they don't like us. When I went to school and they looked down on us, you know, it wasn't cool back then to be Indian. It seems like it's kind of cool to be Indian now, you know, but back then we were always like looked down on. We're poor. we're always drunk, you know, things like that. That feeling of inferiority passed down from the intergenerational trauma, what happened to our ancestors, the shame of us being who we are. I learned along this path, there's the two thought system. One is with your ego and one is with the spirit. Ego is your false self.
So, you never met him?
No,
And she never talked about him?
not to me.
So why would you let your daughter stay with a guy you've never met? You know, whose name you don't even know?
She was an adult.
Barely.
Una shep daiwa wapa.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what does that mean?
it ain't good.
Look, I don't mean to offend you. I am just trying to understand the dynamic here, Mr. Hansen. I'm trying to help.
Why is it whenever you people try to help, it starts with insults? I don't know why she didn't tell me. But she was 18, and I chose to trust her. I chose wrong.
Okay, well, how about your wife? Did your daughter talk to her?
Did you talk to your mother?
Her name is Annie. Is she here?
She's in the bedroom.
Good, I'd like to speak to her.
Be my guest.
Thank you. Bedroom's just this way.
My way.
Jane,
Yeah. You don't mind, right?
Hey, you don't need my permission. You're an adult. Barely.
Interesting how the chief is giving her some clear warning there.
Jane.
I got a little upset with her, right? Not showing empathy,
Yeah.
you know, not showing empathy and not even listening to the chief. Yeah, just the way that she came at the father. Yeah, there's a lot of different ways she could have done that.
When she's gonna go into the room and she, you know, it's just a whole different way of interacting, right? Her role as a law enforcement officer is to kind of, you know, come at it head on, and that's not respectful. Well, I know that there's been more cultural humility training. I think that's probably the larger issue, is that she comes in without any humility. She's young too, for one thing. As a cultural practice, right, that it's just an expression of the deepness of their grief. Realistic, probably somebody would have 5150'd her, right? They would have put her in the hospital,
Emergency, yeah.
right? Because she's not trying to kill herself.
The father says, why is it every time you guys try and help, it's insults first?
It's just rooted in ignorance. Not just not knowing, but not really caring to know. And well, after my mom and dad separated and divorced, then he married another woman, a white woman, right? And we lived in a white neighborhood. But obviously I'm not white, and I didn't fit in with the Mexican Americans in Fontana that lived above the, you know, where they lived, had ranches and chickens and horse. All that, I didn't fit in there. I didn't fit in with the white people. I didn't know where I belonged.
There's this little story called The Chickens and the Eagles. This farmer was going out into the forest one day, and he comes across these two baby eagles, you know, and the mom and dad, they're dead. So he doesn't want to let the little eagles die, so he takes them back to his farm. He has nowhere to put them, so he puts in this big old chicken coop with all of his chickens, right? Eagles, they start growing up and they're walking like chickens, they're talking like chickens. They get older and older, right? And they get bigger and bigger, and they're still walking like chickens and talking like chickens. And one of the brothers, he looks at it, he's like, I don't think we're chickens, man. Look at how big we are, you know? The other eagle, he's looking at him, he's like, no, we're chickens, man. This is our chicken world, you know? He shut up. And then this owl starts laughing at him. And one of the brothers looks up and he's like, what are you laughing at? He's like, well, I'm laughing at you guys because you guys are down there and you guys think you're chickens. And you're like, well, we are chickens, you know? This is our chicken world. He's like, no, you guys aren't. You guys are eagles. You guys are king of the skies. He's like, no, we're not. So he flies down there and he grabs one of the eagles and he puts him on his back and he takes him way up in the air like that. Flips over and the eagle starts falling and the owl comes down next to him. He's like, hey man, open your wings and start flying. So I can't, I'm a chicken, you know? He's like, well, if you don't open your wings, you're gonna die a chicken. So he starts opening his wings and he starts flying, right? That's the way I see things. Colonialization and assimilation and conditioning, it has us thinking that we're somebody else and trying to be something that we're not.
But I could tell you it gets easier.
doesn't. If there's any comfort, it's getting used to the pain, I suppose. Went to a grief seminar in Casper. Just wanted the bad to go away. Wanted answers to questions that couldn't be answered. The counselor came up to me after the seminar and sat down next to me. He said something that stuck with me. I don't know if it's what he said or it's how he said it. He says, I got some good news and I got some bad news. Bad news is you're never going to be the same. You're never going to be whole. Not ever again. You lost your daughter, and nothing's ever going to replace that. Now, the good news is, as soon as you accept that, and you let yourself suffer, you allow yourself to visit her in your mind. You'll remember all the love she gave, all the joy she knew. Point is, Martin, you can't steer from the pain. If you do, you'll rob yourself. You'll rob yourself of every memory of her. Every last one. From her first step to her last smile. Kill them all. Let's take the pain, Martin. You hear me? You take it. It's the only way you'll keep her with you.
I'm just tired, Corey.
I think it's great. I think him telling him to go through it, go through it. The best way is straight through it, and don't numb it, don't run from it, really face it. I believe that there are things that we can do, and learning more of like my culture and our teachings and our beliefs. We saw death as something totally different. It's not something to fear, it's something we welcome.
If you allow yourself to go through it, right? If you embrace it, then you'll be able to hold on to those other parts, the joy that she experienced. Because what we see people do is suppress it.
I had this like awakening or remembering, of like who I was. I wasn't like any of those characters that I thought I was, but I realized that I needed to heal. But what really helped me was mending broken hearts, and that's through Wellbrighty, and it's grief recovery, and it helped me, allowed me to like put down my timeline, and that's when I learned about intergenerational trauma and how things were passed down to me and how things weren't passed down to me, like what Julie was saying, like our traditions and stuff like that, and things that we did when we did grieve. Because what was taught to me growing up was when somebody dies, you drank and you didn't cry. You got to be tough, you got to be a red dog, you got to be mad, things like that. So that's why I'm a facilitator for that now, and that's why I encourage anyone that is going through anything to please do Many Broken Hearts.
I'm curious. We're mental health professionals dealing with loss that our clients are experiencing all the time. How are you guys dealing with that? Tell us how you're dealing with it. Julie, I want to know how you're dealing with self-care.
I use medicines. I smudge myself, I'll go to meetings. I'll talk to other people as well. I'll enjoy my son, you know what I mean? I'll do things that I enjoy.
When I came out of graduate school and I went to work at Indian Health Services, right? Because I could come into that space, and I was overwhelmed and very ill prepared for the level of trauma and abuse, because we were seeing people cycle in and out. And so I had to do something, because you can't work with people and not carry it to a certain extent, to have it be, I say, to get on you, right? If we're not feeling it, we're not doing our job right. There's a story of 3 sisters, and there's all these babies coming down the river. The one sister's like, we got to save these babies, and she gets in there and she starts pulling babies out, and then pretty soon she calls one of her other sisters, come over here and help me, and she has the babies, and the other sister takes off, and they say, where are you going? Like, we need your help. She's like, I'm gonna go upstream and find out where the babies are coming in. that's when I moved to prevention and early intervention work. Because the work that we do in being able to educate our families about what happens, right? Why are we in the places that we're in? Thank you. Why do we keep doing the same things over and over again? And helping stop that cycle.
Hey.
You got blood on your shirt.
Yeah, I just came from work.
Who was the victim today?
Looks like it's gonna be me.
Some coffee?
Sure.
The pressure of losing a child.
So I gotta go to the res
relationship,
tomorrow.
Marriage.
Figure I'd take Casey by to see your folks.
Something killed a yearling in the pasture behind their house.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Don't let Casey out of your sight on the res, okay?
Like I said, I'm gonna leave him with your folks. Well, let's go. You know, it's too cold to drive through the snow.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Face!
Dad?
Come on, bud.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay.
Don't run. Here you go, buddy. You know, it's a good town, Wilma. They got good schools there.
If I get the job, we're gonna have to talk about his child support. Jackson's a lot more expensive.
Well, you go get that job and we'll figure it out from there. Don't you worry about it. Take Togarty Pass and don't go through Pinedale, okay? This storm's coming from the south, so...
Yeah, you couldn't drag me through Pinedale with a rope. Never set foot in that town again.
Well, good luck, okay?
I was kind of struck by the comment about keeping an eye on her son
I noticed
on the
that.
reservation,
Yeah.
right? We know that now. We know that the rates of murdered and missing, they changed it from MMIW to MMIP because we recognize that our children are going missing and our men are going missing too. The rates of alcoholism and drug use on the reservations is pretty high, the vulnerability. She was a good kid. She was a good student. She was, you know, it wasn't necessarily that she was an addict or an alcoholic, but there's vulnerabilities on the reservation. Even though we know the history of boarding schools, because people try to get them off the reservation so they can go have a different experience.
What happened? You can't sleep?
Had a nightmare.
All right. What about?
Who was she?
Come here, buddy. Want some milk?
No.
Come on. She was a girl, just lost her way in the snow, that's all. Okay?
What's all this?
That's work, buddy.
Did she die like Emily?
She died from the cold.
So she died like Emily.
Yes, son. I'm afraid she did.
Interesting, because he almost does the same thing as the medical examiner. Technically speaking, she died from the cold.
It's almost like maybe it's the story that he tells his son to keep it from being so bad.
It's an indication that this young man is ready for more, right? More conversation, more being able to put that experience in its place for himself.
Yet the kids have questions and they hear it, and so when we kind of pull back so far that we don't give them any information at all, the narrative that forms is one that's not accurate. It's
right.
distorted, and it's coming from friends or whatever. And the fact that he shows up out of bed in the middle of the night or whenever and talks to his dad, This is a good sign.
Right.
Yeah.
That he
Right.
feels he can do that, and Dad's so gentle in the way that he responds.
Hey. That's with the paint.
It's my death face.
How would you know what that is?
I don't. Just made it up because no one left to teach her. I was ready to quit. Then the phone rang, which is never good. But today it was. I was gonna go pick him up as soon as I wash this shit off my face. Heard about what happened. Heard there's one still missing.
No. No one's missing.
How'd he go out?
With a whimper. You gotta go easy on Chip. Something's hard on young men, they don't get our practice.
Should go get him. Yeah, but I just need to sit here. And miss her for a minute. Got time to sit with me?
Oh, I ain't going nowhere.
It does say that there's no system for gathering, but as a result of that awareness, now there are other organizations that have formed to track it. Legislation that is requiring the FBI and other agencies to collect that data.
Martin says, there was no one around to teach me.
He knew he needed to do something though, didn't he?
Yeah.
The work that we've done at Sherman Indian High School, they talk about how there may be people in ceremony, that's annual Sundance, but the rest of the year, what are they doing? They're out there drinking and they're using and they're doing all these other kinds of things. There are people in those communities that are sober. There are those people who are practicing the Red Road, which is what we call the Red Road, right, as being the well and sober. Find out who those people are because they're there. You can be that person.
I think like key takeaway from this film would be that our ancestors are within us, you know, and like those teachings aren't really lost. There's still people around to show us our actual way on how to grieve and how to heal from things and don't ever give up.
These are tough conversations to have. When I started at Indian Health Services, we weren't talking about it. It was happening in all of our homes and all of our families and all of our communities. We weren't talking about it. And so it's coming up on this, I think this is my 19th year there. We're having these kind of conversations out in the open. So educating people, telling them it's not like that's not our way, you know, and that there are other things that are in place, like having respect for women, raising and including the men in our culture, right? To have those tough conversations with each other. And so films like this, I think, can create opportunities for conversation. And unfortunately, we say that a lot, but we still have all these problems that are systemic in our culture.
Last thoughts?
It was a hallelujah to meet you.
I wanna invite everybody. You know, we're doing this conversation as part of a mental health awareness campaign where, you know, it's online at BestWayThrough.com. We're giving away some cool t-shirts. We're giving away some prints. Have conversations about mental health that don't involve going to see someone to get pills, or it doesn't even involve going to counseling. So the other thing that's really important is subscribe, like. We would also love to see your comments. Share your comments. What did you think about what we had to say today? What did we leave out? What are some interesting topics we should be talking about in the future? So I want to thank you guys very much. I would love to work with you guys again on another project. So hopefully to be continued,
Sure.
as opposed to a goodbye.
Yeah.
And we do this one thing. This whole campaign is kind of based on this this quote that we love, actually. The best way out is always through. It's a quote by Robert Frost. So if you don't mind joining me, the best way out
is
is
always through.
Done that, and that helps.
I forget what I'm doing anyways.
Yeah.
You won't even, don't even.
I'll try not to wave my arms around too much.
Yeah.
Are you
Hit
kidding?
this.
You've seen Toby's videos.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll fit right in.